Hi, I'm Chad Swanepoel, agronomist with Ag Partners. Today we want to talk about proper timing of fungicide on soybeans and the benefits of the fungicide on a soybean plant. When spraying fungicide on soybeans, you want to make sure you hit it in the proper timing, which would be an R3 stage. Anywhere from an R2 through R4 is considered kind of the sweet spot for it. So when staging a soybean, what you want to do is look at the top part of the plant to make sure you have flowers. Once you have flowers all the way up the plant, you know that you're at least in an R2 stage. From there, if you count down in the nodes, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes. Somewhere on these top 4 nodes, if you have a 1/4 inch pod like this, which is actually a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch here, you know that you're into the R3 stage, which is the ideal time to hit a soybean plant with a fungicide. As you move along and these pods get up to 3/4 of an inch long, you're moving into R4, which is getting towards the tail end. Once you pass that R4 stage, it's not recommended that you spray a fungicide anymore. But these beans right here are at optimal timing to put a fungicide on because there's plenty of leaf tissue out here to protect. And the key is each one of these petioles here leads down to a set of pods, and if you're protecting that, that's feeding that set of pods. So the more leaves you can protect, the better yield you're going to get out of it. And you can see here on this plant we've got some Septoria brown spots started. It's very common in soybean fields this time of year. You can see it all over the bottom part of the canopy. Usually that isn't real yield limiting because it's more towards the bottom part of the canopy, but it can spread up. And if you control and protect the top part of your plant, majority of your yield comes from the top half of the plant. So that's why it's key at that R3 stage to cover as much of that planting, cover as much of the leaf tissue as possible. Spraying your fungicide, we already talked about timing. One thing you want to make sure you do when you're applying is make sure you're using a lot of gallons per acre. That 15-20 gallons per acre, because the key to a fungicide working well is good coverage and covering that whole leaf. So make sure you're using enough water and make sure you're using the right nozzles as far as like a flat fan or something that'll get you better coverage. If you're using, you don't want to use the same nozzles you use to spray like your Extendamax spray, for instance. That's way too big a droplet for a fungicide spray. And then we always like to add in some interlock to make sure you get better deposition. Interlock increases deposition of your spray by 10%, and that will help cover your entire canopy and help get down into the lower parts of the canopy better too. If you are finding aphids out there, you can also mix in whatever insecticide that you want to use to control the aphids. But like this field here right now, we aren't finding any aphids. There's none on this plant right here, so it doesn't make sense to spray aphids if there's none out there. You want to wait until you have threshold levels to spray for aphids. It's important though at this R3 stage to make sure you get out and get your fungicide sprayed at proper timing. And last thing we want to talk about is what type of yield advantage you're going to get. With our local Ag Partners data, the last 4 years have shown a 5.02 average yield increase. If you have any more questions, please contact your local Ag Partners agronomist.